Smart Money Decisions, End Indecision and Build Lasting Wealth. Chapter 1. The Price of Indecision. It feels safe. That moment when you push the decision off until tomorrow, you tell yourself you're being responsible. You're waiting for more information. You're simply weighing the options, taking your time to be thorough, and for a brief moment the pressure lifts. You don't have to commit. You don't have to worry about making a mistake. You've maintained a kind of temporary, fragile peace. But that peace is an illusion. We need to talk about the silence of a delayed decision, the hidden, invisible cost that quietly drains your resources, energy, and most importantly, your peace of mind. Every time you postpone a financial choice, you are actually making a choice. You are choosing the status quo. You are choosing inertia. And that choice is never free. It is easy to focus on the visible costs in life. The price tag on an item, the interest rate on a loan, the annual fee for a service. These are straightforward, clear, and easy to measure. The price of indecision, however, is slippery. It's subtle. It creeps up on you not with a sudden, painful withdrawal, but with a slow, steady leakage. Think of it like a dripping faucet. One drop is nothing. You can ignore it. 100 drops are still easy to dismiss. But over weeks, months, and years, that tiny, consistent drip can empty the reservoir. Financial indecision acts exactly the same way. It's the small, unseen erosion of opportunity and peace. Let's start with the most obvious currency it drains: opportunity. In the world of wealth building, timing is not just important, it's fundamental. Opportunity often shows up not as a permanent fixture, but as a fleeting moment, a window that opens and closes. Imagine you've been considering investing in a new financial product or shifting your retirement funds into a different strategy. You read the reports. You talk to a professional. You feel a sense of internal alignment that this is the wise move. But then, the what-ifs start. What if the market dips tomorrow? What if I haven't done enough research? Maybe I should just wait until the next quarterly report comes out. And you wait, you hesitate. You enter a state of financial paralysis. The cost here is clear. You miss the benefit of growth. If you wait 6 months, that's 6 months of potential compounding interest lost forever. That lost potential isn't just a number. It's a delay in your financial freedom. It's a setback in your timeline for security. This isn't about chasing fleeting fads or making reckless leaps. This is about honoring the clarity you've already achieved by acting on it. When the path ahead feels right, and you have enough information, hesitation simply cancels the advantage you earned through your research. It's the hidden cost of the would-haves and could-haves that haunt us later. But the cost of indecision is far deeper than just lost financial returns. It significantly impacts your energy and attention. The human mind is magnificent, but it has a finite amount of working energy each day. When you leave a financial decision suspended, hanging in the air between a yes and a no, that decision doesn't just disappear. It turns into a background application running constantly in your mental operating system. It's the question of refinancing your home, or choosing a new savings account, or finally consolidating debt. Even when you are not actively thinking about it, a part of your mind is dedicating resources to holding that file open. This is what we call cognitive load. The longer that file stays open, the more energy it demands. This is why you feel mentally tired even when you haven't been doing anything physically demanding. Your brain is running a dozen invisible background checks on all your pending decisions. This quiet mental clutter prevents you from being fully present in other areas of your life. It saps the creative energy you could be putting into your work, your relationships, or your personal well-being. Indecision isn't passive. It's a tremendous active drain on your most valuable non-renewable resource, your focus. The moment you make a clear decision, even if it's the wrong one, your mind releases the stress of that open file. It says, okay, that's settled. Now we move forward. The energy that was tied up in the decision-making process is immediately freed up for execution, reflection, or rest. This brings us to the third, and perhaps most vital, hidden cost. The cost to your internal peace. Financial well-being is not simply about having enough money. It's about feeling a sense of calm control over your future. When you are indecisive, you are essentially telling yourself that you do not trust your own judgment. You are sending a subtle, damaging message to your core self. I am not capable of managing this situation with clarity. This erosion of self-trust is devastating to inner harmony. The uncertainty of an unmade choice introduces a subtle level of low-grade anxiety into your daily life. You might not identify it as financial stress, but it manifests as restlessness, sleepless nights, or that general feeling of unsettledness. You are delaying the decision, hoping to delay the potential regret, but in fact, you are replacing the possibility of one clear moment of regret with a long, drawn-out period of continuous, low-level worry. The goal of sound financial management isn't just accumulating wealth, it's accumulating peace. And peace is fundamentally incompatible with chronic indecision. A well-made decision, even a small one, is an act of self-respect. It says, I have considered this fully, I trust my process, and I am moving forward. This act closes the loop, restores your sense of internal balance, and frees you to enjoy the present moment. Think about the sheer relief of having your financial affairs in order, not perfectly, but settled. That feeling of closure is the true financial dividend of decisive action. To move toward clarity, we must first recognize the different shapes indecision takes in our financial lives. It rarely shows up wearing a sign that says, I am indecision. Instead, it disguises itself as one of 4 common psychological traps. Trap 1. Perfectionism disguised as research. This is when you believe you need one more article, one more book, one more expert opinion before you can act. You are waiting for 100% certainty in a world that offers 70 or 80% at best. The hidden cost here is frozen time. You are demanding a level of flawless precision that simply doesn't exist in the real world of money, and you are sacrificing timely action for an unattainable ideal. Trap 2. The fear of unbalancing the scales. This is common when 2 options appear equally appealing or equally risky. You get stuck trying to find the perfect equilibrium, terrified that choosing one path means betraying the potential benefit of the other. You become a psychological referee who never calls the play and the game stalls. The hidden cost is missed dual benefits, the growth you could have achieved from either choice, simply because you couldn't choose both. Trap 3. Waiting for the external sign. This is the subtle hope that someone else, a friend, a news report, or the market itself, will make the decision for you. You abdicate responsibility, waiting for a clear, undeniable signal from the universe. The cost is loss of agency. You give away your power, making yourself a victim of circumstance rather than the architect of your own financial future. You lose the satisfaction and confidence that come from owning your choices. Trap 4. Decision fatigue. This happens when you have too many small, pending choices cluttering your mind. You delay deciding on a new monthly budget, which leads to delaying looking into better insurance rates, which leads to delaying making a payment. When the mind is overwhelmed by numerous minor decisions, it simply shuts down to protect itself. The cost here is accumulated chaos. The small, easy things pile up until they become one massive, paralyzing problem. The pathway out of indecision begins not with a grand financial strategy, but with a simple, quiet commitment to honoring your internal clarity. If you have spent the time and effort to gather information, if you have sought counsel, and if a choice feels internally balanced and logical, then you have done enough. The time for deliberation ends, and the time for decisive action begins. Your journey toward lasting wealth and inner peace depends on your ability to gracefully transition from reflection to resolution. You must consciously choose to stop paying the silent, draining price of indecision. This book is dedicated to helping you build a framework where that transition is not a source of stress, but a smooth, natural extension of your best thinking. We are moving from the chaotic weight of maybe to the quiet strength of done. The goal is to cultivate a serene, balanced approach to your money choices. It is about understanding that perfection is the enemy of progress and that movement, even imperfect movement, always generates more learning and more peace than stagnation. Look at your financial life right now. Where are you postponing action? Which folder have you been avoiding opening on your desktop? What conversation have you delayed having? Identify that one sticky point, that one decision you've kept suspended in the air. Recognize the mental energy that task is stealing from you every single day. Today, your journey begins with the commitment to close that loop. Not perfectly, but definitively. Because the true cost of indecision is not just a few dollars lost. It is the loss of your precious time, your valuable energy, and your fundamental right to financial peace. Let this awareness be the catalyst. Let the understanding of the silent drain motivate you. You deserve to live with clarity, not clutter. You deserve to move forward with confidence, not hesitation. The scale of your life deserves to be balanced, and that balance is achieved through the steady, intentional weight of clear decisions. Take a deep, steady breath. Acknowledge the weight you've been carrying. Now commit to setting it down. The path to freedom begins when you choose to act. Chapter 2: The Fear of Making the Wrong Choice. It's an almost universal feeling, isn't it? That slight tightening in your chest, that pause in the flow of your thoughts, when you stand at the edge of a significant financial decision. It's not the complexity of the numbers that stops you. It's the sheer weight of potential regret. Many people aren't paralyzed by the math. They are paralyzed by the deep, human fear that they will choose poorly, that they will look back later and feel the painful sting of if only. They fear the future self who might judge the past self harshly. It's natural. We are wired to seek safety and avoid loss. This instinct kept our ancestors alive, but in the modern world of personal finance, this instinct can become a cage. It locks us into inaction, often under the guise of prudence. When it comes to money, the fear of making the wrong choice, the fear of a financial misstep, is frequently much stronger than the desire for a substantial gain. We tend to focus more energy on protecting what we have than on pursuing what we want. We become loss-averse. This isn't just about losing dollars. This is about losing face, losing security, and losing the internal story we tell ourselves about being a competent and capable person. The choice becomes not just a transaction but a test of character. If you choose the wrong stock, you don't just lose money, you feel foolish. If you choose the wrong house, you don't just lose equity, you feel trapped. This is where we need to introduce a fundamental shift in perspective. We need to move from fear-based thinking to empowered decision-making. The key to this shift is recognizing a crucial truth. Every single choice you make is a step forward, even if it is imperfect. A choice is not a final, unchangeable verdict. It is merely the current best path, based on the information you have right now. Think of your financial life as a long, flowing river. You are navigating a small boat. There are countless tributaries, some clearly marked, some hidden. Fear-based thinking is when you are so afraid of running aground that you simply drop anchor and refuse to move. You stay stuck in the middle of a wide, safe part of the river, never moving toward the beautiful ocean of your goals. Empowered decision-making is when you accept that you might bump the bank, you might have to backtrack, and you might take a wrong turn down a shallow creek. But you keep the sails up, you keep navigating, and you maintain momentum. Movement creates knowledge. Stagnation creates nothing but rust. So, how do we dismantle this paralyzing fear of being wrong? We begin by redefining what a wrong choice actually is. In the context of wealth building and financial freedom, a truly wrong choice isn't one that costs you money. A truly wrong choice is one that teaches you absolutely nothing, or one that you refuse to acknowledge and learn from. Every investment that falters, every budget overrun, every unwise purchase, these are not failures of character. They are data points. They are lessons delivered in a very expensive curriculum. A wise decision maker doesn't aim for zero mistakes. That's impossible. A wise decision maker aims for maximum learning per mistake. This reframe is central to finding your financial balance. When you weigh two options, option A and option B, the mind often sees two potential outcomes: success and failure. But you must shift your focus to what is always present in both outcomes: information. If option A works, you learn what works for your goals, your temperament, and your market. If option A falls short, you learn why it didn't work, what variable you misjudged, and how to adjust your approach next time. In both scenarios, you are richer in knowledge, which is the most reliable long-term asset you can possess. To make this transition from freezing to moving, you need a method to gently separate your identity from your decision. We often tie our financial choices to our sense of worth. If I make a savvy investment, I feel smart and capable. If I lose money, I feel foolish and irresponsible. This emotional linkage is the root of the problem. It turns a logical process into a highly charged, ego-driven contest. You are not defined by the performance of your portfolio. Your inherent value as a person remains absolutely stable, regardless of whether a business idea succeeds or fails. A powerful tool for this separation is the decision snapshot. Before you commit to a major choice, say, buying an asset or changing careers, take a moment to formally document your thinking. Write down: 1. The information you have. List the key facts, research points, and expert opinions that support the move right now. 2. The goal you are serving. What specific, measurable objective is this choice intended to achieve? 3. The assumed risk. What is the worst-case scenario you can reasonably foresee? Be specific. 4. The backup plan. If the worst-case scenario occurs, what is the clear, decisive action you will take to mitigate the damage? By doing this, you capture the quality of your thinking at the moment of the decision. Later, if the outcome is poor, you don't look back and judge yourself as a bad decision maker. You look back at the snapshot and say, based on the evidence available on this date, my logic was sound, but the market shifted in a way I could not predict. Or, I can see now that I prioritized growth over security, and next time I need to adjust that balance. This process allows you to judge the decision framework, not your self-worth. It encourages constructive reflection instead of debilitating regret. It allows you to maintain your internal equilibrium, knowing you acted with integrity and sound reasoning at the time. Another technique for diffusing the fear of the wrong choice is to practice decisional increments. Many people view financial choices as a single, monumental leap over a chasm. I must choose the perfect retirement portfolio right now. I must buy the perfect house immediately. This all-or-nothing mindset is overwhelming. Instead, look for ways to break the decision into smaller, reversible steps. You're not committing to a marriage. You're starting with a conversation. Instead of investing your entire savings into one fund, start with a small, manageable amount. This allows you to test the process, monitor your emotional response, and gather real-world data without catastrophic exposure. Instead of committing to a massive lifestyle change to save money, try a small change for 30 days, like eliminating one type of optional expense. See how that feels, measure the impact, and then adjust. Small, confident steps are vastly superior to perpetual indecision. They are like small adjustments to the sails of your boat. You are constantly course-correcting, learning the wind and the currents, rather than waiting for the mythical day when the perfect map appears. This principle emphasizes flexibility over finality. The truth is, very few financial decisions are truly permanent. Almost everything can be course-corrected, sold, refinanced, or altered. The belief that one single choice can permanently derail your life is often an exaggeration of the fearful mind. Financial life is defined by a series of ongoing adjustments, not a handful of life-defining moments. To truly build lasting wealth and enduring inner peace, you must develop a healthy relationship with risk. Fear of making the wrong choice is fundamentally a fear of taking risk. But in the world of money, risk is not the villain. It is the engine of growth. If you want stability, you accept very low risk and very low potential return. If you want opportunity, you accept higher risk and higher potential return. You are not choosing good versus bad. You are choosing a specific balance between security and opportunity. The empowered decision-maker asks, how much risk am I willing to embrace to achieve this specific outcome? And what is my clear strategy for mitigating that risk if things don't go as planned? This framing transforms risk from a terrifying, unknown monster into a measurable, manageable ingredient in your financial recipe. By defining your risk tolerance before you are faced with the decision, you inject objectivity into an otherwise emotional moment. You establish your boundaries in the calm of reflection, not the heat of the moment. Ultimately, shifting from fear-based thinking to empowered decision-making is an act of self-respect and internal harmony. When you choose to act, you are respecting the time you spent gathering information. You are showing faith in your ability to learn and adapt. You are choosing movement over stagnation. This practice of decisive, informed action is how you build true, quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need external validation but simply flows from within. Let every choice you make, big or small, be a declaration that you are in command of your journey. If the choice brings the desired result, celebrate the victory. If the choice brings an unwanted result, celebrate the lesson. In either case, you have moved forward, you have learned, and you have maintained your momentum. You have proven to yourself that you are resilient. This is the power of the empowered mindset, knowing that no single choice can break you, but every choice, even the imperfect ones, can build you. Commit now to seeing every decision, even the ones that feel difficult, as an opportunity to gain data and reinforce your own capacity for mastery. Stop demanding perfection and start embracing progress. The only wrong choice is the one you refuse to make. Chapter 3. Recognizing the balance between risk and security. Confusion often feels like a fog, doesn't it? When you're standing at a financial crossroads, trying to decide whether to save or to invest, whether to stay put or expand, that fog descends. You know you need to make a wise choice, but you find yourself lost in the mental back and forth, swinging wildly between two powerful, opposing needs. The need for security and the need for opportunity. On one side, you hear the quiet, persistent voice urging you towards safety. Protect what you have. Don't risk the foundation you've built. Stick to what is guaranteed. On the other side, a louder, more magnetic voice calls you toward growth. You have to take a leap. Stagnation is a slow decline. You can't achieve your dreams by staying small. Confusion sets in because these two voices, security and opportunity, sound like enemies. They feel like options you must choose between, rather than forces you can and should choose to balance. This chapter is about finding the beautiful, productive middle ground. It's about understanding that the line where safety ends and opportunity begins is not a rigid wall. It's a fluid, navigable space, and mastering this space is where true financial peace resides. The illusion of absolute security. Let's begin by addressing the powerful magnet of security. It is vital, foundational, and completely necessary. Every stable financial life is built upon a secure base, an emergency fund, proper insurance, and low-interest debt management. This is your foundation of internal calm. But here is the critical insight. Absolute security is an illusion. In a changing world, trying to secure every single dollar perfectly without any exposure to risk actually carries its own hidden cost, the risk of inflation. If you keep all of your resources in a safe, unchanging place, such as a traditional savings account with minimal interest, your money is guaranteed not to lose its number, but it is guaranteed to lose its purchasing power over time. The cost of living rises, and if your money isn't growing at least at that rate, you are slowly, safely, becoming less financially capable. Therefore, the pursuit of total security is not truly safe. It is simply a slower form of erosion. This is the first lesson in finding balance. True financial safety requires a reasonable, intentional degree of calculated risk. It demands that you accept the gentle tension between holding steady and moving forward. The myth of unfettered opportunity. On the opposite side lies the call of opportunity, often amplified by exciting narratives of overnight success or dramatic gains. Opportunity feels dynamic, vibrant, and full of potential. But pursuing opportunity without a secure foundation is equally hazardous. It's like building a magnificent, towering house on a base of sand. The potential height is impressive, but the stability is non-existent. Unfettered opportunity, chasing high returns without understanding the proportional risk, leads to emotional volatility. It creates a frantic, unbalanced relationship with money, where every market dip feels like a personal tragedy, and your inner peace is constantly subject to external financial performance. True financial strength is not measured by how fast you can grow, but by how reliably you can sustain growth. Sustainability requires the anchor of security. The second lesson in balance, then, is that opportunity should always be built upon a secure, clearly defined foundation. You must know exactly what you can afford to risk and why. Defining your personal balance point. The question is not, which one should I choose? The question is, where do I stand right now, and where is my own personal point of equilibrium? Your ideal balance between risk and security is not a universal formula. It is a highly personal ratio determined by three key variables. 1. The timeline of your goals. The longer your financial timeline, the more risk you can gracefully accommodate, because you have time to recover from any temporary setbacks. If you are saving for a goal 5 to 10 years away, a house, a child's education, your balance point must tilt moderately toward security. You don't have time for massive swings, but you need more growth than a basic savings account provides. If you are saving for a goal 20 or 30 years away, like retirement when you are young, your balance can lean more heavily toward opportunity. Time is your greatest asset. It smooths out the inevitable market volatility and allows compounding to work its magic over decades. Action point. Clearly define the time horizon for every major financial pool you hold. The time frame dictates the balance. 2. Your emotional tolerance for volatility. This is often overlooked, but it is perhaps the most important factor in sustained success. Risk on paper is simple. Risk in real life, when you see your portfolio numbers dip, is an emotional challenge. If market fluctuations cause you sleepless nights, constant worry, and the desperate urge to make reactive decisions, you have exceeded your emotional tolerance, regardless of what the experts recommend. A decision framework that perfectly balances risk and reward, but destroys your peace of mind, is fundamentally a poor choice for you. Your highest priority must always be maintaining the internal equilibrium that allows you to think clearly and stick to your strategy. Action point: be honest about your comfort level. If a particular investment causes you chronic anxiety, reduce your exposure until you feel a quiet, sustainable sense of calm. Your peace is a valuable non-financial asset. 3. The definition of your non-negotiable core. The balance point is established by first securing the things that, if lost, would compromise your daily existence. This is your non-negotiable core. Your core includes your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, your basic cost of living, the insurance policies that protect your income and assets. Everything within the core must be secured with minimal risk. It is the ballast in your ship, keeping you upright in any storm. The financial resources outside this core are your opportunity capital. This is the resource pool that you can, with intention and clarity, expose to growth-oriented risk. When you make a decision, you must first ask, does this choice compromise my non-negotiable core? If the answer is yes, the decision is unbalanced. The art of the informed tipping point. Finding the sweet spot where you move from security to opportunity is an art of informed objectivity. It's not about following a feeling, it's about weighing the known facts against the desired outcome. Here are simple steps to help you find that tipping point. Step 1. Quantify the loss. Before making any investment or taking on debt, clearly define the maximum amount you are willing to lose in the worst-case scenario. Don't use percentages, use dollars and cents. I am willing to risk $2,000 in this venture. When you quantify the loss, the fear becomes concrete, manageable, and less terrifying than the vague, paralyzing fear of everything. Step 2. Quantify the reward. Next, define the reward. What is the reasonable, objective return you are aiming for, and what are the clear steps required to achieve it? The balanced decision occurs when the potential reward, discounted by its probability, significantly outweighs the maximum quantified loss. This moves the process out of pure hope and into sober assessment. Step 3. Use the sleep test. This is the ultimate test of internal balance. After you have run the numbers and quantified the risk and reward, commit to the decision and then observe your state of mind. If you are constantly checking the news, feeling anxious, or losing sleep, the decision has thrown your internal scales out of alignment. You have too much opportunity-seeking risk and not enough peace-seeking security. The sign of a truly balanced financial decision is the quiet confidence that allows you to set it aside and focus on the rest of your life. The money is working, and you are at peace. The greatest financial masters are not those who avoid risk entirely, nor are they the reckless ones who take every gamble. They are the ones who intentionally, gracefully balance the two. They recognize that security is the foundation that allows them to chase opportunity with confidence. And opportunity is the fuel that prevents security from becoming stagnation. By consciously defining your core needs, clarifying your time horizons, and respecting your emotional boundaries, you stop seeing risk and security as conflicting burdens. You begin to see them as the two necessary weights on the scales of a well-balanced life. This is the path to achieving wealth that is not just substantial, but also sustainable and profoundly peaceful. Embrace the tension, find your perfect midpoint, and move forward with the calm certainty of someone who knows they are both protected and progressing. Chapter 4. Escaping the Loop of Overthinking. The human mind is a beautiful, intricate tool, capable of extraordinary analysis. It allows us to process vast amounts of data, weigh complex variables, and predict potential outcomes. It is the mechanism we use to build a safe, structured financial life. But sometimes, that very tool becomes a trap. You have probably experienced it, that frustrating feeling where analysis doesn't lead to clarity but spirals into paralysis. You gather data, you build mental models, you read expert opinions, and instead of feeling more certain, you feel hopelessly overwhelmed. You get stuck in the loop of overthinking, circling the same set of facts endlessly. You replay the options. You anticipate every single possible objection, and the sheer volume of mental activity leaves you emotionally exhausted but no closer to a decision. This is where the noble pursuit of wisdom turns into the painful surrender to confusion. In the language of internal balance, overthinking is a critical misalignment. It is when the scales are tipped so heavily toward deliberation that there is no space left for action. The inner referee is trying to perfectly adjudicate the decision before the game has even begun. The goal of this chapter is to give you simple, actionable methods to cut through that mental clutter, weigh options with calm objectivity, and move with confidence instead of hesitation. We need to reclaim the energy that is currently being wasted on endless rumination. The myth of perfect data. The primary trigger for the loop of overthinking is the misconception that if you just acquire enough information, the correct path will become flawlessly clear. We often mistake more data for more clarity. The truth of modern financial life is that we have access to an almost infinite amount of data. For every compelling argument to buy, there is an equally compelling argument to sell. For every expert advocating for safety, there is another advocating for ambitious growth. If you wait for the day when every conflicting opinion aligns perfectly, you will wait forever. You will sacrifice all your opportunities at the altar of perfect information. Clarity is not the result of more data. It is the result of focused distillation. Your job as an empowered decision-maker is not to consume the universe of financial information, but to define the essential data points necessary for a responsible choice, and then, crucially, to stop. The rule of three and the principle of sufficient information. To escape the analysis loop, you must impose a clear, objective boundary on your information gathering. Use the rule of three. When comparing financial options, investments, budget cuts, major purchases, limit your initial research to a maximum of three primary options. For example, if you are choosing a new savings vehicle, do not research 20 different accounts. Choose three highly reputable, distinct options, perhaps one traditional, one online, and one mutual fund option. Dive deeply into those three. This immediately curtails the overwhelming sense of endless possibility. Then apply the principle of sufficient information. Define before you start researching exactly what you need to know to feel comfortable. This might include the annualized fee structure, the liquidity rules, how fast you can access the money, the historical performance range, high, low, and average. Once you have those three essential facts for your three options, the research phase is over. You transition immediately into the decision phase. This structure brings immediate calm and order to the process. You are no longer aimlessly collecting. You are executing a clear strategy. Objectivity through externalization. Overthinking is often a circular, internal monologue that lacks a neutral third party. To break the cycle, You must pull the decision out of your head and place it onto a page. The best method for calm, objective weighing of options is the balanced scorecard. This is a more nuanced, powerful version of the old pros and cons list, designed specifically to highlight alignment with your values. 1. Define your values, the criteria. Identify the non-negotiable emotional and practical needs for this decision. For a financial choice, your criteria might be: risk tolerance, how stressful is this option? Growth potential, how well does it meet my long-term goal? Simplicity, how easy is it to manage? Ethical alignment, how well does it match my personal values? 2. Assign weights. Give each criterion a weight based on its importance to you. For a young person, growth potential might be weighted at 40%, while simplicity is 10%. For someone near retirement, risk tolerance might be weighted 60%. 3. Score the options. Take your 3 research options and score them against each criterion on a scale of 1 to 10. 4. Calculate. Multiply the score by the weight for each criterion and sum the results. The highest resulting score is the most objectively aligned choice. This process removes the emotional tug-of-war and replaces it with clear, quantitative assessment. It is a powerful practice in finding structural balance. Crucially, even if the highest score does not feel right, the scorecard provides the essential question: why? Is it because you misjudged the weights, or because you have an underlying fear you have not fully faced? The scorecard acts as a clear mirror for your true intentions. The power of the decisive deadline. Another powerful technique to break the overthinking loop is introducing an intentional, self-imposed deadline for deliberation. Overthinking thrives in the landscape of unlimited time. If you give yourself a week to decide on a small purchase, you will use all 7 days. If you give yourself 30 days to research a new retirement account, you will spend the full 30 days moving in circles. For every decision, big or small, set a firm end date for the research and deliberation phase. Small decisions, e.g., changing internet providers, 48 hours. Medium decisions, e.g., opening a new investment account, 7 days. Large decisions, e.g., buying a home, 30 days of focused research, followed by a 3-day period for final deliberation and commitment. When the clock runs out, you must commit to the highest scoring option on your balanced scorecard. This deadline is an act of self-respect. It says, my time and mental energy are too valuable to waste on endless hypotheticals. I trust the work I have done, and now I choose to move. Separating high-impact from low-impact decisions. Not all financial decisions deserve the same amount of mental energy. Overthinkers often spend as much time researching which weekly meal kit to buy as they do choosing a major insurance policy. This imbalance is exhausting and inefficient. To conserve your precious mental bandwidth, categorize your choices. 1. High-impact, irreversible/expensive. Career changes, home purchases, complex debt structures. These warrant full use of the rule of 3 and the balanced scorecard. 2. Low-impact, reversible, small cost. Selecting a new budgeting application, choosing a bank for checking, minor monthly subscription cuts. These require the 1-hour rule. The 1-hour rule is simple. Allocate a maximum of 1 focused hour of research. At the end of that hour, choose the best option available and execute the decision. If it turns out to be slightly imperfect, the cost of reversing it is less than the cost of the 4 extra hours you would have spent thinking about it. By deliberately restricting the energy you spend on low-impact choices, you free up tremendous reserves for the decisions that truly shape your long-term wealth and peace. The grace of good enough. Ultimately, escaping the loop of overthinking requires a psychological shift toward embracing the philosophy of good enough. In your financial life, good enough is not a surrender to mediocrity. It is a celebration of timely, competent action. It is recognizing that an investment strategy that is 85% optimal, but executed today, is mathematically and psychologically superior to a 99% optimal strategy that is still being debated 6 months from now. The person who acts with good enough clarity begins compounding, learning, and progressing immediately. The person who waits for perfection remains motionless, paralyzed by the quest for an impossible ideal. You are seeking financial harmony. Harmony is a state of equilibrium, not flawless rigidity. It is the ability to maintain flow and grace, even when the notes are not perfectly pitched. Choose to value movement over stagnation. Choose to value your peace of mind over the illusion of total control. Commit to defining your information needs, using the balanced scorecard to inject objectivity, and setting firm deadlines for action. When you feel the mental clutter begin to mount, take a steady breath, look at your criteria, and trust the process you have built. Your path to wealth is built on confident steps, not on endless deliberation. Silence the noise, embrace the grace of action, and move forward. Chapter 5. Defining what wealth really means to you. When we talk about building wealth, our minds often jump immediately to numbers. We think of bank balances, portfolio totals, and net worth calculations. It is easy to assume that wealth is a purely quantitative measure, a destination defined by an impressive figure. But if your goal is truly to find lasting peace and sustained happiness in your financial life, we need to pause and examine the deeper truth. True wealth is not just numbers on a statement. True wealth is the freedom, the security, and the beauty you create with your resources. If you amass a large fortune but lose your health, your relationships, or your sense of internal balance in the process, can you truly call yourself wealthy? The answer intuitively is no. A life rich in dollars but poor in peace is not a life of abundance. It is a life of imbalance. This chapter guides you to clarify your personal, authentic definition of wealth so that every financial choice you make, from the smallest daily expenditure to the largest investment, aligns perfectly with what matters most to your soul. This is the ultimate act of bringing harmony to your money life. The power of personal definition. Why is defining wealth for yourself so critical? Because if you operate using a definition of wealth borrowed from television, social media, or even well-meaning family members, you will spend your life chasing someone else's finish line. This is a common form of financial misalignment that leads to chronic dissatisfaction. You might diligently save money for the massive house or the luxury car because society equates those items with success. But once you achieve them, you find they do not bring the feeling of fulfillment you expected. Instead, they often bring debt, complexity, and stress. This happens because you satisfied an external scorecard, but not your internal blueprint for a rich life. Your financial resources are simply tools. They are the means to an end, not the end itself. The goal is to define the end, the specific feeling or lifestyle, and then make sure your money acts as the perfectly balanced lever to achieve it. Moving beyond the quantitative. To begin defining your true wealth, we must move past simple quantity and explore three core qualities that money can buy: freedom, security, and beauty. 1. Wealth as freedom. What does financial freedom truly look like to you? It is more nuanced than simply not having to work. For most, it means autonomy over time and energy. Does freedom mean the ability to choose your working hours? Does it mean having enough capital to gracefully decline a project that compromises your values? Does it mean the time to pursue a creative passion or volunteer work that fills your spirit? Does it mean the space to travel and connect with different cultures? For one person, Freedom might be defined by having enough residual income to cover their basic necessities so they can work for joy, not necessity. For another, freedom might be a paid-off mortgage, liberating a massive monthly expenditure. The key is to define it not by the dollar amount, but by the specific activities and states of being that money allows you to unlock. When you make a financial decision, you must ask, does this purchase or investment buy me more time, more choice, or more autonomy? If the answer is yes, it aligns with wealth as freedom. 2. Wealth as security. Security goes beyond a mere emergency fund. It is the deep, quiet knowledge that you have built a foundation resilient enough to handle life's inevitable shocks without uprooting your peace. Security is the feeling of having a safe harbor against the storm. Is your security defined by having a safety net large enough to support your family for 6 full months? Is it defined by having your medical and physical assets fully insured and protected? Is it defined by having a stream of income that is diversified across 3 or 4 different sources, so one failing never collapses the whole structure? Security is the foundation that allows you to pursue opportunity without recklessness. It is the peace of mind that allows you to sleep deeply at night, knowing that the most important people and needs in your life are safeguarded. Financial choices that increase this core, inner calm are acts of building true security. 3. Wealth as beauty. This is the often neglected pillar of true abundance. Its essence is fundamentally drawn to beauty, harmony, and aesthetic pleasure. Financial resources are meant to enhance the quality and experience of your life, not just its duration. Wealth as beauty means using your resources to cultivate a lovely, harmonious environment that nurtures your spirit. Does it mean surrounding yourself with high-quality, durable objects that bring a sense of refined pleasure every day? Does it mean supporting artists, creators, and local businesses that add cultural beauty to your community? Does it mean maintaining a home and garden that feel like a sanctuary, a place of quiet retreat and balanced order? It is the opposite of mindless consumption. Wealth as beauty is intentional elevation, choosing quality over quantity, meaning over mechanism. It is the decision to spend resources on an experience that enriches your soul, or on an object that brings lasting grace to your daily surroundings, rather than on ephemeral distractions. The alignment test. Once you have identified your personal values across these 3 pillars, freedom, security, and beauty, you have created a powerful internal compass for decision-making. Every time you face a difficult choice, you put it through the alignment test. Imagine you are considering a new, expensive car loan. Instead of calculating, can I afford the monthly payment? You ask, freedom. Does this purchase give me greater freedom? Or does the debt tie me to a higher income for a longer period, reducing my overall autonomy? Security. Does this large debt compromise my emergency fund or reduce my ability to save for retirement, weakening my core security? Beauty. Does this car truly add meaningful, lasting beauty or function to my life, or is it merely satisfying a brief, external desire? If the answer to 2 or all 3 questions leans toward compromise, the decision is misaligned, regardless of how much money you technically possess. The choice violates your personal definition of wealth. If, however, you choose to invest in a low-maintenance, high-efficiency vehicle that frees up monthly cash flow, reduces stress, and is aesthetically pleasing, that choice builds wealth across all 3 pillars. It is a decision that generates flow instead of friction. The true measurement of net worth. The ultimate measurement of your wealth is not your net worth number, but your net peace index. Your net peace index is how much genuine calm, security, and fulfillment you experience on a daily basis, relative to the financial complexities you maintain. Someone with a medium-sized investment portfolio, zero consumer debt, a stable income, and a clean, joyful home environment often has a far higher net peace index than a billionaire tangled in excessive debt, complex business dealings, and high-stress management. The person with the high net peace index is the one who has successfully used money to simplify their life, bringing it into a state of elegant balance. They have used their resources to remove the sources of anxiety and create space for joy. This is the essence of smart money decisions, using clarity and intentionality to transform resources into the quiet, powerful feeling of well-being. Commit today to clarifying the precise qualities you are truly striving for. Write down with honest detail what freedom, security, and beauty look like in your life. Let this personal manifesto be the guiding star for every financial choice going forward. By doing this, you stop chasing the abstract numbers that cause anxiety and start creating the tangible, beautiful life you truly deserve. You are not just building wealth. You are building a balanced life of authentic abundance. Chapter 6. Building a framework for confident choices. Confidence is often misunderstood. We tend to think of it as a personality trait, something you either have or you don't. But in the context of personal finance, confidence is actually a product of structure and routine. Think about the most graceful, balanced person you know. They don't move randomly. They move with an easy certainty that comes from having a reliable system. They have practiced their approach until it becomes second nature. The same principle applies to your money. Confidence grows not when you guess correctly, but when you have a reliable framework guiding your hand. This framework brings calm and order to your financial life so that each choice feels guided, rather than rushed, impulsive, or random. When you lack a framework, every decision feels like starting from scratch. You waste energy reinventing the process, leaving you vulnerable to panic or paralysis. A solid framework, however, is like an internal checklist. It keeps your scales balanced and your mind objective. This chapter introduces a practical, multi-step framework designed to infuse peace and structure into even your most complex financial choices. Step 1. Establish your center of clarity, the why. Before you look at a single data point or dollar amount, you must first anchor your decision in your personal vision of wealth, which we explored in the previous chapter. A financial framework does not start with a what or a how. It starts with a why. The purpose of this first step is to filter out options that are simply clever or appealing, and only focus on options that are truly aligned with your deep core goals. Ask yourself three fundamental questions. What specific pillar of my true wealth does this decision serve? Freedom, security, or beauty? If you cannot definitively name a pillar, the decision is likely a distraction. What is the worst-case scenario, and does it compromise my non-negotiable core? If the maximum potential loss threatens your essential stability, your emergency fund, or essential living, the risk is too high, and the decision is immediately rejected. What is the desired feeling I am trying to create? Is it relief, excitement, peace, or momentum? Your decision should move you toward that feeling, not away from it. By taking 5 minutes to establish this center of clarity, you build the solid ground upon which your choice can safely stand. You replace anxiety with intention. Step 2. Gather sufficient, not excessive, information, the what. This step directly addresses the overthinking loop we discussed previously. Once your why is clear, you need to execute the information gathering process with strict discipline. Remember, the goal is sufficiency, not saturation. Implement the rule of 3 diligently. Never research more than 3 primary options for any single choice. Restricting your field of vision dramatically reduces mental fatigue. Next, identify the key decisional factors, The 3 to 5 most important metrics that will genuinely separate the good choice from the bad choice. For example, when choosing a loan, the key factors are the interest rate, the term length, and the early repayment penalty. Everything else is secondary noise. By defining the factors ahead of time, you turn your research from a vague hunt into a focused, precise search and seize mission. Once those key factors are known for your 3 options, you must declare the research phase complete. Stop reading, stop scrolling, and transition immediately to the next phase. Step 3. The objective weighing the how much. This is the phase of calm, quiet objectivity. This is where you use a structured method to remove emotion and inject arithmetic into your choice. Use the balanced scorecard introduced in Chapter 4. Write down your personal criteria: risk tolerance, growth potential, simplicity, alignment with values, and assign weights that reflect your current stage of life. The act of scoring your options against these personalized, weighted criteria is a powerful antidote to indecision. It forces you to articulate the trade-offs. If option A scores highest on growth but lowest on simplicity, and option B scores highest on simplicity but lowest on growth, the resulting weighted score shows you which trade-off is mathematically correct based on the values you declared. This process prevents the typical back-and-forth mental struggle where you argue with yourself. The framework does the heavy lifting of the weighing, leaving your mind free to simply interpret the result. The structure provides the balance. Step 4. Introduce the decisive deadline, the when. The most powerful element of any confident framework is the mandatory commitment to action. Analysis without a deadline is merely procrastination disguised as thought. For every major decision, set a hard stop deadline for the conclusion of Step 3. The deadline should be challenging enough to prevent dawdling, but realistic enough to allow for thorough work. Perhaps 72 hours for an investment decision, or 7 days for a major budget overhaul. When the deadline arrives, the deliberation must cease. You must commit to the highest scoring option on your balanced scorecard, or, if the scores are virtually tied, simply choose one with a coin flip, knowing that both are equally viable according to your own metrics. This is a critical psychological exercise. It teaches your brain that when the work is done, the time for peace arrives. You are choosing closure over continued anxiety. This intentional movement is the key to breaking the paralysis cycle. Step 5. Reflect and adjust, the what now. Many people think the process ends when the decision is made and executed. But for true, lasting confidence, the framework must include a scheduled period of reflection. A confident person doesn't assume they are always right. They assume they are always learning. Schedule a time, 3 months after the execution of the decision, for instance, to review the choice. This review is not about emotional regret. It is a calm, objective assessment against your original decision snapshot. Did the outcome align with the goal I set in Step 1? Were my key decisional factors in Step 2 the correct ones? Was the weighting I assigned in Step 3 an accurate reflection of my true values? If the outcome was favorable, you reinforce the successful parts of your framework. If the outcome was unfavorable, you do not blame yourself. You simply gather the new data and adjust your process for the next decision. This final step is what transforms a random success or failure into a repeatable, mastered skill. You learn to trust your process, which is much more reliable than trusting your fleeting instinct. Building this financial decision-making framework is an act of bringing structural beauty and order to the sometimes chaotic world of money. It allows you to approach any financial challenge, big or small, with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have a disciplined, proven method. You are not improvising. You are executing a well-rehearsed plan. Embrace the structure. Let the framework hold the weight of complexity so that you can hold onto your peace. You have built your foundation, defined your true north, and established your process. Now you can move forward with clarity, certainty, and an unshakable sense of balance. Chapter 7: Trusting Yourself with Money. We've spent time building external structures, defining wealth, balancing risk, and creating frameworks. All these tools are powerful, but they lead us to the most critical component of lasting financial success and peace: trust in your own judgment. The most powerful financial tool you have isn't an investment strategy or a budgeting application. It is your internal compass. Many people find themselves perpetually stuck in indecision because they have learned to rely too heavily on outside voices. They seek certainty from experts, online gurus, or even well-meaning family members, rather than listening to the quiet wisdom of their own experience and research. This reliance on others creates a fundamental imbalance. It externalizes your confidence. You become dependent on market news or expert consensus, and the moment that outside guidance wavers, your confidence collapses, leading you right back to fear and paralysis. The core goal of this chapter is to help you rebuild the subtle, yet strong, self-trust required to make decisions without constant second-guessing. True financial mastery is the ability to make a choice, execute it with conviction, and maintain your peace regardless of the immediate outcome. The silent erosion of self-trust. Why do we stop trusting ourselves with money? Often, it is due to a few painful, remembered mistakes. We overspent once, or we invested in something that later failed, and those singular events become distorted, turning into a narrative that says, "I am not good with money." This is deeply unfair. Every experienced, successful person has made financial missteps. A mistake is not a verdict on your capability. It is a single data point in a long, evolving journey. When you allow a few past errors to define your future competence, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy of doubt. You treat yourself like a flawed partner who cannot be trusted with important decisions, and your inner dialogue becomes one of anxiety and avoidance. To restore balance, you must consciously separate the past error from the present ability. Your ability to learn and apply new knowledge is intact. You are smarter today than you were yesterday because you carry the lessons of those past experiences. The first step in rebuilding trust is to acknowledge that you possess the necessary tools: intelligence, research ability, and a clear understanding of your personal goals to handle your own resources. Filtering the outside noise. In today's world, the sheer volume of financial advice is deafening. Every website, podcast, and social media feed offers a confident, opposing opinion. This constant stream of conflicting data is a major source of doubt. If you expose yourself to too many external viewpoints, you dilute your own clear insight. You create a state of internal chaos, where the authority of the latest voice you heard overrides the clarity you established for yourself. To build self-trust, you must become an active, judicious filter of external information. Establish an outer circle and an inner circle of advice. The outer circle contains general knowledge, market news, and interesting perspectives. You consume this information for context, but you do not allow it to dictate your action. It provides data, not direction. The inner circle is reserved for one or two highly trusted, unbiased advisors: a financial planner who understands your values, or a mentor who has demonstrated quiet, long-term success. These are the voices you consult after you have done your own research and formed your initial conclusion. Their role is to stress test your thinking, not to do the thinking for you. When facing a decision, the new protocol should be: form your view first, research your three options, complete your balanced scorecard, and arrive at your conclusion before you call your advisor or poll your friends. This ensures that your choice is fundamentally rooted in your own careful assessment and your personal goals, not in the momentary confidence of someone else. The power of small wins. Self-trust is not rebuilt with one massive, successful investment. It is rebuilt with a sustained, graceful series of small, successful actions. To begin shifting your internal narrative, start with low-stakes, highly controllable financial decisions. Commit to the 1-hour rule. Choose one small financial task you've been avoiding, such as selecting a new streaming service or finding a better mobile plan. Give yourself one single hour of focused research, make a decision, and execute it. Master the micro-budget. For 1 week, intentionally track every single dollar you spend. This is not about judgment, it is about building awareness. The act of knowing where your money is going is a profound act of financial self-possession and control. Complete one small savings goal. Set a simple goal to save $100 extra this month, for instance. Achieving this goal proves to yourself, quietly and concretely, that when you set an intention and apply your focus, you are effective. Each time you successfully execute a small, intentional decision, your brain logs a competence point. These points accumulate into a powerful, undeniable feeling. I am capable. I can manage this. Small wins replace the paralyzing fear of big mistakes with the quiet momentum of constant, graceful movement. Honoring your intuition and temperament. Logic and numbers are essential, but the final layer of confident decision-making requires honoring your emotional temperament. A decision that is mathematically sound but completely violates your intuition and peace of mind is still a poor decision for you. Imagine your balanced scorecard suggests an investment that is objectively high growth, but every time you think about it, you feel a knot in your stomach. Your intuition is telling you that the level of volatility required to achieve that growth will destroy your net peace index. An empowered decision-maker respects this feeling. They recognize that their own peace is a higher value asset than marginal growth. They adjust the choice, sacrificing a little potential return for a great deal of emotional stability. Learning to trust yourself means learning to distinguish between fear, which is based on imagined disaster, and intuition, which is based on your subconscious processing of all known facts, tempered by your need for internal harmony. Your temperament, your ability to tolerate risk, complexity, and slow returns, is a crucial, non-negotiable factor in your financial framework. Trusting yourself means choosing the path that you can stick with calmly, day after day. Sustainability is the ultimate measure of wisdom. The unwavering commitment. Ultimately, building self-trust requires the unwavering commitment to own your decisions, without reservation. When a choice works out, accept the credit and reinforce the successful elements of your process. When a choice falters, accept the lesson and adjust your process for the future. Stop using conditional language like, "I'll try this investment until the market gets too scary." Instead, commit with clarity. I am investing in this strategy for the next 3 years because it aligns with my long-term goals. This commitment frees you from the exhausting task of constantly renegotiating your choices. It brings a profound sense of closure and certainty. You have the intelligence, the framework, and the self-awareness to manage your wealth with grace. Silence the outside noise. Listen to the quiet clarity you have built within. The most confident and balanced financial life is one where you are the sole, peaceful authority. Step into that role now, trust the wisdom you possess, and move forward with quiet certainty. Chapter 8. Finding Harmony in Everyday Spending. We have spent significant time examining the large, high-stakes decisions, the major investments, the big commitments, and the frameworks that prevent paralyzing indecision. These large choices are certainly important, but they only account for a small fraction of your financial life. The truth is, your financial destiny is not only shaped by the big decisions you make once every 5 years. It is profoundly influenced by the small, daily choices you make every single day. It is easy to let the small transactions, the daily coffees, the impulsive online purchases, the convenient takeout meals, become invisible leaks. Separately, they seem insignificant. But when aggregated over weeks, months, and years, these small, unconscious expenditures quietly drain your potential wealth and, more importantly, chip away at your sense of financial control. The goal of this chapter is to show you how to find a graceful balance between enjoyment and responsibility in your everyday spending, so that peace of mind becomes your default state, not a distant goal. This is where financial harmony truly comes alive. The myth of the sacrifice. Many people approach daily spending with an all-or-nothing mentality. They assume that if they want to build wealth, they must ruthlessly sacrifice every single thing that brings them pleasure. They equate financial discipline with self-deprivation. This mindset is not sustainable, and it creates a painful imbalance. A life defined by constant denial is not a rich life, regardless of the size of the savings account. If you cut out every single joy, your discipline will eventually snap, leading to a binge of overspending that undoes weeks of effort and leaves you consumed with guilt. True financial harmony is not about cutting. It is about conscious curation. It is about ensuring every dollar you spend, especially the small ones, aligns with your values and actively enhances your quality of life. The question is not, how little can I spend? The question is, how can I redirect my spending so that it maximizes my joy while minimizing my stress? The principle of intentional allocation. To introduce harmony into your daily spending, you must move from reactive spending, buying whatever catches your eye, to intentional allocation, spending resources according to a clear, balanced plan. This starts with a mental separation of your spending into three clear categories. 1. Necessities. These are the non-negotiable costs of living and security: housing, utilities, food, and necessary transportation. Your goal here is efficiency and finding the most balanced value for a reasonable price. 2. Future growth. This includes your automated savings, debt payments, and investments. This category represents your commitment to your future self and your long-term peace. This should be allocated and committed to first. 3. Joyful spending. This is the flexible part of your budget, dedicated entirely to discretionary items, hobbies, entertainment, dining out, and small luxuries. This category is not a frivolous expense. It is an investment in your present well-being. The key to balance is to ensure that your joyful spending is fully funded after your future growth is secured, but before you start spending on anything else. By pre-allocating a specific, intentional amount to joy, you remove the guilt from spending that money. You've already done the responsible thing. Now, when you buy that expensive coffee or that beautiful book, it is a guilt-free act of self-care and balanced living. You are spending with permission, which transforms the emotional relationship with the transaction. The power of the pause. The most common point of imbalance in daily spending is the impulse purchase, the item you didn't need and didn't plan for, but bought in a moment of unconscious boredom or distraction. The simple, most effective tool against impulse spending is the power of the pause. When you encounter an unplanned item you feel compelled to buy, institute a mandatory time delay. The length of the pause should correspond to the cost. Small items under $20, wait 10 minutes, walk away. If the desire is still clear and strong after 10 minutes and it is within your allocated joyful spending budget, proceed with clarity. Medium items, under $100. Wait one full day, 24 hours. This allows the initial emotional impulse to fade and lets your logical mind assess the true value and necessity. Large items over $100. Wait one full week, 7 days. During this time, look at the purchase 3 times. If after 7 days the item still aligns with your values and the 3 pillars of your true wealth, it is likely a conscious, healthy choice. This pause introduces a moment of calm objectivity into the often frenzied moment of desire. It honors your need for joy while reinforcing your commitment to intentionality. You are teaching your mind that you are in control and that decisions are made with grace, not urgency. Curation over accumulation. The pursuit of harmony in daily spending also means shifting your focus from accumulation to curation. Look around your living space. Are there items you purchased that seemed exciting at the time but now contribute only to clutter and stress? This is the physical evidence of unbalanced, reactive spending. Intentional curation means choosing only objects, experiences, and subscriptions that actively contribute to the beauty, function, and peace of your environment. When you decide to purchase something, ask 2 simple, clarifying questions. Does this enhance the quiet harmony of my daily routine? If I purchase this, what is the single item I am willing to let go of to maintain clarity and balance? The second question is the most powerful. It introduces the concept of one in, one out for all discretionary items. It reminds you that every acquisition comes with a cost of space, attention, and energy. By maintaining balance in your physical surroundings, you reinforce balance in your financial choices. You are choosing quality over clutter. The daily dividend of peace. The ultimate benefit of finding harmony in everyday spending is not the extra money you save, but the daily dividend of internal peace you earn. When you know that your savings goals are automatically met, that your necessities are covered efficiently, and that your fun money is guilt-free, the entire relationship with money softens. The constant, low-level anxiety around spending disappears. You become the peaceful conductor of your financial orchestra, where every instrument is playing its part. The steady rhythm of savings, the strong melody of necessary payments, and the joyful counterpoint of discretionary fun. This consistency creates a virtuous cycle. Clarity leads to intentional spending, which leads to reduced guilt, which reinforces the feeling of internal control, which further enhances clarity. Start today by consciously identifying 3 small daily expenses that are currently unintentional leaks. $3 here, $5 there. Redirect that money into your pre-allocated joyful spending fund, or even better, into your future growth fund. By bringing conscious intention to the small daily choices, you gain continuous, reinforcing proof of your mastery. You prove that a financial life can be both abundant and profoundly peaceful. Embrace the grace of intentionality and let harmony flow into every single transaction. Chapter 9. Reframing mistakes as lessons. The fear of making the wrong choice, as we explored earlier, is often rooted in the paralyzing anxiety of failure and regret. We carry this mental burden because we view a financial misstep as a definitive judgment, a stain on our record, a sign of incompetence. But if you want to build enduring wealth and cultivate unshakable financial confidence, you must learn to see the world differently. You must understand this profound truth. Every wrong turn carries a hidden lesson. A mistake is never just a loss. It is information delivered in a highly memorable package. Instead of letting financial missteps shake your confidence, this chapter is about learning how to gracefully embrace them as stepping stones toward mastery. We will transform each decision, even the unfavorable ones, into a peaceful teacher instead of a debilitating threat. This perspective is crucial for achieving financial equilibrium. When you know how to leverage your errors for growth, the fear of action dissipates. You realize that whether a decision results in a gain or a loss, you are always growing richer, if not in dollars, then in wisdom. The wisdom of imperfection. The first step in reframing mistakes is to accept the wisdom of imperfection. Life, and especially the financial landscape, is dynamic and complex. Nobody, not the seasoned investor, not the financial genius, not the most diligent budgeter, is immune to error. Markets change, unexpected events occur, and information is always incomplete. To demand flawless financial execution is to demand a perfection that exists only in theory. This unreasonable expectation is what causes so much pain when an error finally occurs. When you make a mistake, do not turn it into a personal failure. Instead, categorize it as a variance in execution. Something you tried did not align with the desired result. That is all. It is a misalignment in a system, not a flaw in your character. This subtle linguistic shift is immensely powerful. It moves the focus from who I am to what happened. It allows you to approach the situation with the quiet, detached curiosity of an investigator, rather than the crippling shame of a culprit. You are not the mistake. You are the conscious observer of the mistake and the capable architect of the correction. The calm debrief, transforming loss into data. When a financial decision results in a loss or an unwanted outcome, the natural, instinctive response is to panic, assign blame, or simply avoid thinking about it. These responses are survival mechanisms, but they are disastrous for growth. To learn from a mistake, you must institute a structured, calm debrief process. This process ensures that the sting of the loss is converted into the valuable fuel of data. 1. Isolate the event, not the self. Take a deep breath and write down, as neutrally as possible, exactly what happened. The investment I chose declined by 30% over 5 months. Use factual, non-judgmental language. 2. Revisit the decision snapshot. Pull out the documentation you created when you made the decision, the balanced scorecard, the list of criteria, the goal. Your primary question is not, was this the wrong decision, but what was the quality of my information at the time? Did I rely on insufficient data? Did I let emotion override the objective analysis? Was my original timeline too short for this type of risk? This step reveals the flawed variable in your framework, not the flawed person. 3. Define the one clear lesson. Do not attempt to learn 5 or 10 lessons. That is overwhelming. Isolate the single, most important lesson you will integrate into your decision framework going forward. Lesson: I will no longer invest in things I cannot explain simply to a friend. Lesson: I need to increase my required timeline for high-growth ventures to a minimum of 4 years. Lesson: I need to secure my emergency fund before taking on any further debt. This single, distilled lesson becomes your greatest gain from the loss. It is a quiet, powerful addition to your mastery. The imperative of swift correction. Indecision is not only costly when delaying a beneficial choice. It is exponentially costly when delaying the correction of a mistake. A common reaction to a financial loss is to freeze. We feel embarrassed or defeated, and we hope that if we simply ignore the problem, it will somehow correct itself. This is almost never the case. The wisest action after identifying a loss is swift, graceful correction. Correction does not mean a frantic, emotional reversal. It means taking the one clear lesson you gained from your debrief and applying it immediately to stabilize your position. If the mistake was overspending on credit, the swift correction is not to sell all your assets in a panic. but to immediately freeze discretionary spending and double your minimum payment. If the mistake was an investment that violated your risk tolerance, the correction might be to calmly sell half of the position to bring your exposure back to a comfortable, peaceful level. Action is the antidote to anxiety. When you act swiftly and intentionally to correct a course, you immediately restore your sense of control and self-trust. You demonstrate to yourself, once again, that you are the architect of your financial life, capable of navigating choppy waters with grace. The long-term return on experience. True wealth builders view financial experience through a long lens. They understand that wisdom is a cumulative asset that cannot be purchased. It must be earned through action, reflection, and adjustment. When you successfully reframe a mistake as a lesson, you elevate the experience from a negative event to a valuable investment in your future judgment. Consider the value of the knowledge you now possess regarding that specific type of error. Because of the pain of the loss, you will be infinitely more careful, more diligent, and more objective the next time a similar option presents itself. This earned skepticism and clarity are priceless. This is the harmonious perspective. You are paying a fee, the cost of the mistake, for a non-depreciating, high-value asset, wisdom. Embrace the setbacks as part of the natural rhythm of growth. Just as a sculptor must chip away material to reveal the finished form, you must sometimes incur a small loss to reveal the clarity of your true financial form. Commit to seeing every single decision, regardless of the immediate outcome, as a forward step. You have either gained wealth or gained wisdom. Both are essential components of a deeply satisfying and balanced life. The only true mistake is the one you refuse to learn from. Move forward, learning with every graceful step. Chapter 10. The Beauty of Simple, Steady Progress. We often fall prey to the seductive myth of the financial leap, the dramatic, overnight success, the one brilliant investment that changes everything instantly. This narrative, while exciting, is almost always an illusion, and the pursuit of it leads to imbalance, reckless risk-taking, and chronic anxiety. Lasting wealth, the kind that supports a life of profound peace and freedom, does not come from dramatic leaps. It is built from consistent, graceful steps. The true power in your financial life is found in compounding, and compounding is simply the reward for showing up, being intentional, and maintaining a gentle, steady rhythm. This chapter reveals how small, wise decisions compound over time, creating a life that feels stable, abundant, and entirely free from financial chaos. The quiet power of consistency. Think of your financial life not as a race, but as a long, flowing river. The goal is not to reach the ocean in one frantic sprint, but to ensure the river is constantly moving forward, gathering depth and strength as it goes. Consistency is the antidote to the anxiety generated by volatility. When you commit to a simple, reliable plan, saving a modest amount every pay period, paying a little extra toward debt each month, or reviewing your budget with quiet intention every week, you create an unwavering internal rhythm. This rhythm separates your success from the fleeting mood of the market or the passing headlines of the economy. Your progress becomes an internal metric, independent of external chaos. A wise decision repeated 10 times is infinitely more powerful than one brilliant decision made once and then abandoned. The consistent, small actions, the automated transfers, the conscious pause before an impulse buy, the calm application of your decision framework, are where the magic truly resides. They are the quiet, daily affirmations that you are capable, disciplined, and moving forward. They reinforce self-trust far more effectively than any huge windfall ever could. Understanding the compounding effect. The concept of compounding is often taught purely as a mathematical formula, but we need to embrace its emotional and psychological power. Compounding means that your successes build upon themselves, but it applies not only to money, but also to habits, confidence, and peace of mind. 1. Financial compounding resources. When you invest wisely, the returns you earn begin to generate their own returns. The small amount you started with grows, and then the growth starts growing. This is the simple miracle of compounding dollars. The power lies in time, not in finding the single best investment. The person who begins saving $20 a week at a young age will almost always surpass the person who delays saving until later, hoping for a dramatic success. Time is your multiplier. 2. Behavioral compounding clarity. Every time you choose to use your balanced scorecard instead of acting impulsively, you reinforce the neural pathway for objective, structured thinking. Each decision becomes easier than the last. You compound clarity. The more you choose to act with intention, the less energy you spend on indecision and anxiety. 3. Emotional compounding peace. Every time you commit to and execute a consistent action, like auto-saving the same amount, you earn a small measure of inner peace. That small peace compounds daily. Over months, this creates a profound sense of security and control. You have built a reservoir of calm that no single financial event can easily drain. This is the beauty of steady progress. It builds your money, your clarity, and your tranquility simultaneously, elevating the mundane to the meaningful. To maintain simple, steady progress, we must stop viewing the foundational tasks of money management as tedious chores, and instead see them as acts of self-care and intentional design. The weekly budget review is not punishment. It is an act of bringing order and peace to your home. It is a moment of calm objectivity where you assess the scales and make slight, necessary adjustments to maintain balance. The automated monthly transfer to your savings account is not a deprivation. It is a commitment to your future freedom. It is the single most powerful act of kindness you can perform for your future self. When you elevate the mundane tasks by linking them directly to your personal pillars of freedom, security, and beauty, they stop feeling like burdens and start feeling like meaningful rituals. You are not tracking expenses. You are curating a peaceful life. You are not just saving, you are purchasing future autonomy. The power of marginal gains. Success often feels huge and intimidating, but achieving steady progress is about focusing on marginal gains. The intentional improvement of just 1% across your process, repeated consistently. If you can find one simple, small improvement in your financial life every month, the compounding effect over a year is astonishing. Month 1. You automate an extra $5 in savings. Month 2. You find a 1% better interest rate on a savings vehicle. Month 3. You spend 1 hour clearing out one recurring, unused subscription. Each gain feels tiny and easy, but the cumulative effect is massive. Because you never break your rhythm, these small, consistent efforts become exponentially more valuable than a desperate attempt at a quick, dramatic success. This focus on small, manageable gains prevents the overwhelming feeling that often leads to inaction. It reminds you that your job is not to win the financial race today, but simply to do today's step well. The grace of slow and steady. The ultimate reward of simple, steady progress is a life defined by quiet confidence. When your wealth is built on the foundation of consistency, small adjustments, and alignment with your values, you become immune to the financial anxieties of others. You stop comparing your progress to the dramatic highlight reel of social media and instead look inward, finding satisfaction in your own predictable, peaceful momentum. You know that your money is working quietly, reliably, and efficiently behind the scenes, freeing up your mental energy to focus on the things that truly bring meaning: your relationships, your passions, and your present experience of life. Commit today to celebrating the small wins. Recognize the profound power of showing up day after day and making the simple, wise decision. Do not chase the dramatic. Embrace the quiet, beautiful truth that slow, steady movement is the most sustainable and powerful path to lasting wealth and enduring peace. Let consistency be your anchor, and let balance be your guide. Chapter 11. Restoring peace in your relationship with wealth. For many people, money is a source of continuous, low-grade stress. It is the file you keep putting off opening, the conversation you dread having, and the underlying current of anxiety that prevents true rest. This happens because we allow our relationship with wealth to become adversarial. We see money as a heavy burden, a complicated test, or a relentless judge of our worth. Money is, at its core, simply an exchange mechanism, a tool to store energy and facilitate the movement of goods and services. Yet, the emotional weight we attach to it is immense, often eclipsing its simple, practical function. To achieve true financial mastery and lasting inner peace, you must consciously and gracefully rebuild this relationship. You need to transform money from a source of stress into a quiet, reliable ally in your life. It must support you instead of weighing on you. This chapter explores how to restore harmony and elegance to your connection with your resources. Unmasking the emotional baggage. The first step in restoring peace is to identify the emotional baggage you carry concerning money. We all absorb beliefs about wealth from our early life, and these beliefs often dictate our present-day behaviors, regardless of our current reality. Do you secretly believe that wealth requires constant struggle? This drives workaholism and burnout. Money is inherently dirty or corrupt. This drives self-sabotage and unconscious avoidance. I must never talk about money. This drives isolation and prevents clarity. There is never enough, regardless of the amount. This drives chronic scarcity anxiety. These are not facts. They are old, inherited scripts. They are misalignments that poison your relationship with your resources. To unmask them, simply observe your emotional reaction to specific financial tasks. Does checking your bank balance fill you with dread? Does saving money feel like a painful sacrifice? That dread and pain are evidence of an emotional conflict, not a factual deficit. Restoring peace begins by acknowledging these scripts without judgment. You gently observe the old belief and state the new, balanced truth. Money is a neutral tool for creating freedom, security, and beauty. Money as an ally, not an adversary. To shift the relationship, you must fundamentally change the role money plays in your internal narrative. Instead of seeing money as something you have to fight for or worry about, begin to see it as a helpful, quiet ally that is working tirelessly on your behalf. Your savings account is not a pool of withheld pleasure. It is your peace reservoir, a buffer that absorbs unexpected shocks so your inner stability remains undisturbed. Your investment portfolio is not a source of market anxiety. It is your team of future advocates, resources you have dispatched to work and grow your autonomy over time. Your budget is not a restriction. It is a clear, balanced plan that ensures all your most important values, present enjoyment and future security, are funded harmoniously. This shift in perspective transforms financial actions. You are no longer struggling with money, you are partnering with it. Every time you save, you are strengthening your ally. Every time you spend with intention, you are directing its energy toward a meaningful goal. This creates a relationship built on trust and mutual support, leading to profound inner calm. Embracing financial simplicity. One of the greatest sources of stress in the money relationship is unnecessary complexity. When your financial life is overly complicated, too many accounts, too many debts, too many different investments you don't fully understand, it breeds anxiety. Complexity creates friction, and friction destroys peace. True wealth is often characterized by elegant simplicity. To restore peace, ask yourself where you can simplify. Can I consolidate my high-interest debts into one simple, manageable payment? This removes the mental strain of juggling multiple obligations. Can I reduce my investment holdings to a handful of broad, easily understood funds? This makes monitoring and decision-making effortless and calm. Can I reduce the number of bank accounts or credit cards I actively use? Fewer moving parts mean fewer opportunities for error and less mental clutter. The decision to simplify is an act of bringing structural harmony to your finances. You are removing the hidden sources of administrative stress, making your entire system cleaner, more transparent, and easier to manage with a gentle hand. Practicing gratitude for financial flow. Anxiety often stems from focusing solely on what we lack, ignoring the abundance that is already present. To restore a peaceful relationship, you must introduce a constant, gentle current of financial gratitude. This is not a purely emotional exercise. It is an exercise in grounded reality. Every single day, take a quiet moment to acknowledge three simple financial facts. I have security. Acknowledge the roof over your head, the heat in your home, and the food in your pantry. These are all products of successful past financial choices. I have choice. Acknowledge the funds you have available for your joyful spending, the health insurance that protects you, or the ability to purchase a necessity without worry. I have momentum. Acknowledge the money that is flowing into your accounts, the debt that has been paid off, or the savings that are steadily compounding. This practice grounds you in the present reality of your success. It counters the scarcity script by reinforcing the truth. You have managed your resources wisely enough to be safe and moving forward. It ensures your focus remains on the balanced whole, not just the single, missing piece. The final measure of success. The measure of a truly peaceful relationship with wealth is not how often you check your investment portfolio, but how often you forget to check it. It is the freedom from constant obsession. It is the quiet confidence that your systems are working, your values are funded, and your peace is protected. Money has receded into its proper role, a silent, faithful ally doing its job in the background of a life lived with intentionality and joy. Commit today to treating your resources with respect, clarity, and trust. Let go of the old scripts that told you money was something to be feared or fought. Embrace the reality that money is a tool for balance, a resource for freedom, and a foundation for peace. When you restore this harmony, you transform your relationship with wealth, and in doing so, you transform the quality of your entire life. Chapter 12. Living with Clarity, Confidence, and Wealth. You have completed the journey. You have moved from the paralyzing anxiety of indecision to the quiet, powerful certainty of mastery. The changes you have made are not merely tactical shifts in your budget or your portfolio. They are profound, lasting shifts in your internal state of being. You have successfully integrated clarity, structure, and emotional awareness into your financial life. The final stage of this process is not about making one final, perfect choice. It is about realizing the mastery you have already achieved, the ability to move through financial decisions with calm certainty. This is the moment to feel how clarity and confidence ripple through every area of your life, leaving you not just wealthier, but fundamentally more balanced, secure, and truly free. The mastery of the inner scale. We began this exploration by recognizing the destructive cost of imbalance, the struggle between security and opportunity, between fear and desire, between analysis and action. Your true mastery lies in the fact that you no longer approach life with these conflicting forces as adversaries. You have trained your mind to see them as the two necessary weights on a scale. You now know how to operate with elegant precision. You understand that security is not a static state, but a dynamic, peaceful foundation that requires the intentional risk of opportunity to overcome the erosion of time. Clarity is not the result of infinite data, but the discipline of stopping when you have sufficient information and trusting your objective framework. Confidence is not a personality trait, but the reliable product of a consistent process. Your balanced scorecard, your decisive deadline, and your commitment to the rule of three. You no longer seek perfect outcomes. You seek balanced decisions. This acceptance of imperfection, coupled with the commitment to learning from every outcome, is the hallmark of true, mature confidence. You are the peaceful, steady conductor of your financial life. The ripple effect of clarity, the benefits of your financial mastery, will not be confined to your bank statements. Clarity in one area of life always generates a powerful ripple effect, extending into your energy, your relationships, and your entire sense of well-being. When you are decisive and calm with your money, you unlock vast amounts of previously wasted energy. The mental clutter from pending, unmade decisions is gone. This freed-up energy is immediately available for creation and presence. In your relationships, the quiet certainty about your financial plan allows you to engage with others from a place of genuine abundance, not anxiety. Conversations about shared resources are transformed from tense negotiations into calm, collaborative planning sessions. You are a source of stability for those around you. In your work, the removal of financial stress frees your mind to focus on high-value, creative work. You are no longer working primarily out of fear, but out of purpose. This shift naturally increases your professional effectiveness and overall satisfaction. In your health, financial peace is deeply intertwined with physical and mental health. The elimination of chronic, low-grade money worry reduces stress hormones, improves sleep, and allows for intentional self-care. Your balanced finances create a balanced body and mind. The wealth you have built is not just the value of your assets, it is the enhanced quality of your attention and energy. This is the true dividend of financial clarity, the continuous practice of peace. It is important to understand that mastery is not a final destination. It is a continuous practice. The world will continue to present new opportunities, new challenges, and new situations that test your balance. The key to maintaining your hard-won peace is to commit to the simple routines that anchor your clarity. 1. Protect your foundation first. Always ensure your non-negotiable core, your security fund and your essential living costs, is protected before engaging in any new growth-seeking risk. Never compromise stability for speed. 2. Commit to the pause. Before any impulsive purchase or reaction to external news, institute the power of the pause. Give yourself the grace of a brief, intentional delay to check the emotional temperature before acting. 3. Reflect, never regret. When a plan deviates from your goal, do not indulge in the luxury of regret. Immediately execute a calm debrief. Isolate the single clear lesson and adjust your process. Transformation happens through learning, not shame. By upholding these practices, you ensure that even when the winds change, your internal compass remains steady and true. You have built a framework that absorbs shocks and turns complexity into understandable tasks. Living with abundance. You are now equipped to define and experience wealth in its truest, most profound sense, as the total alignment of your resources with your highest values of freedom, security, and beauty. Your financial journey is no longer a struggle for an arbitrary number, but a graceful, unfolding design of a life well lived. You are free because your money buys you choices, time, and autonomy. You are secure because your foundation is built with intentional, unwavering stability. You live in beauty because you choose to curate your resources toward quality, meaning, and harmony, both in your environment and your spirit. Take a moment now to breathe in the deep satisfaction of this peace. Feel the quiet confidence that radiates from within, knowing that you are fully in command of your financial journey. This is the end of the book, but it is the beginning of your life lived with true financial mastery. Go forward not just with wealth, but with the profound clarity, balance, and quiet confidence that your decisions are sound, your path is purposeful, and your peace is secure.